seen him in that piece. Barbara Toomey is a political activist from the NUS Black Students Campaign. And from Dublin, we have Angela Nagle, who's an expert in this area and has written about online culture wars. Angela, there have always been angry people who didn't like immigrants or hated Jews or hated Muslims. But there were a relatively small number of them, so they didn't really matter. What we see now is this sort of radicalisation of young people on the internet. Does this make them losers with laptops or a political movement?
Well, there are multiple layers of it, and this is one of the things that makes it very difficult to talk about because, for example, Milo Yiannopoulos, who's mentioned, is very different politically to the hardcore of the alt-right, which is a very American phenomenon and which does have explicitly racial politics. So it's quite a long journey from that hardcore of the alt-right to, for example, the average Trump voter. So in a way, you know, I wouldn't want to in any way underestimate it as a movement because it is a kind of avant-garde, even so the fact that it's small doesn't matter too much. But it certainly is going to be very culturally influential and already has been.
Jack Buckby, you stood for election, you got 220 votes. Yeah. You've got a few thousand Twitter followers. Sure. I mean, there have always been people like you, haven't there? I mean, is there anything new about what you're doing?
No, I wouldn't say there's anything new, but I'd say definitely the way that we go about politics has changed. You know, my election campaign, you know, if we're going to talk about that, was primarily to cause a discussion about what I believe was a serious issue in the area, and which is, you know, we've seen is a serious issue.
But nobody agreed with you, is the point. I mean,
well, no,
you know, you got 1.1% of the.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that's true. I mean, I'm from a very small political party with a very small amount of funding. The point was never to win.
So not many people think the way you do.
See, I disagree with that. You know, we had 4 million people voting for UKIP, and many of those agree with me. You know, I don't associate with this fringe of the alt-right, which is, you know, neo-Nazi, white supremacist kind of thing. But these 4 million UKIP voters agree with many of the kind of ideas that I talk about. I know a lot of people who are high up in UKIP who agree with me on almost all things. And I know many Tory voters and many traditional Labour voters believe the same as well. So what we've seen is it doesn't work out in politics, but it is creating a new online culture.
Barbara Toomey, I mean, can you afford to ignore him?
I've never said that we should ignore people like Jack, to be honest. I am actively campaigning and will continue to ignore people, to campaign against people like Jack and the views that he stands for. I think it's absolutely despicable that you can sit here and basically spout these things that basically infringe on the rights of other people to just exist in society. It's ridiculous. Like, you're able to exist and be you, but yet your whole movement and your whole thing is about how, you know, for some reason, black people have low IQs. I mean, he's proven that there's no actual biological difference between black and white people. That's a myth. That's pseudosciences from the 1800s that you keep bringing back. So I'm just completely astonished. Somebody who's well-educated that you know, chooses to believe such nonsense.
Well, I'd love to know where you got this information from, because I don't believe those things that you're talking about.
But you have said people should be deported, haven't you?
Yes, people who are a drain on the economy, absolutely, yes.
What, so white people as well?
So who gets to define
anybody who's a drain on the economy?
No. Who gets to decide who's a drain? So black people who are born here, they can stay, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Right, so who gets to define who's
a drain?
on society?
No, I love this sort of faux outrage you've got going on here. You know, you're saying, oh, you hate black people. You don't think people should exist. It's constant faux outrage. And you know what? You are the reason we exist. You are the reason this online movement exists.
My black existence is the reason you exist.
Stop bringing race into it. We hate the fact you people take the moral superiority. But you know what? Put your money where your mouth is. Syrian refugees, application form. Take one home. Taking a Syrian refugee, I hope you don't get raped. Because we talk about these serious issues and you demean us, you attack us. I can afford rent for a one-bedroom house, so I don't, you know, I don't have the financial means to do that. You probably do, though, with all your money. Oh, all the money I've got, where did I get that from?
No,
let me just sort of, I mean, you know, the point is, it's a bit like a religion, watching this. You know, it's like watching two people who just believe different things. And I just wonder whether you see the similarity between what you're doing and what ISIS are doing, and that you're sort of, there's a radicalisation going on, isn't there?
ISIS are throwing gays off buildings. They're attacking feminists. I mean, people like you are evil to those people. They want you dead. We're talking about these serious issues, and you sit there with your faux outrage, scuffing when you hear something you don't like. It's despicable.
Just address the point. What I'm saying is, you're organising online. You make videos. You make these sorts of videos with music, and you cut in pictures of attacks and terrorist attacks and all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what ISIS and Al-Qaeda do. And they prey on vulnerable people.
That's really not
and I
the
wonder
issue
whether
here. The
you're
content
preying
is
on
entirely different.
similarly vulnerable
No,
people.
I'm portraying a message to people who a lot of people already understand these issues. Some people are on the edge of realising that there are issues. But to try and compare our movement, and again, I don't associate with these ultra-right white supremacists. I'm not one of those. If anything, I'm a paleo-libertarian.
Yeah,
but our ideals
you
are
can do that.
entirely
Hang on. Okay, let's just establish
really
that.
matter.
You want Britain to be essentially white, don't you?
No, I think it should be majority indigenous.
Majority.
It is already majority white.
fine.
What is the problem? White people make up,
listen,
white people make up 20% of the world's population. The reason why I'm sat in this country today is because Britain came to my country hundreds of years ago. That is the exact reason why I'm sat here today. So don't, this pretend, no. But the reason why I'm here is because you were in my country first, invaded still and enslaved. My point is I have every right to be here in the same way you
I would
had
love
every
to
right
know
to
where
be
you got
in
this
my
idea that I
country.
don't think you don't have a right to be here. As silly as I think you are, I think you've got every right to live here.
Britain is still a majority white country.
Barbara and Toomey.
Britain is still a majority white country.
Let me bring you in.
I'm not saying it's not.
Let me bring you to the point that actually Jack raised earlier, which is it the failure of progressive politics, of the left, to appeal to young people and to offer them a future that means that some of them, a small number admittedly, but some of them are being seduced by this?
A small number of people are obviously seduced by this. That's just the fact.
Well, they just always would be.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with the left or the progressive not being able to make the case. I think we're living in a very particular time where austerity, people's living standards have been driven, and the left has not been able to be empowered to improve that. That's just a fact. We're at the height of capitalism at the moment, where it's exploit, and the easiest way to do that is to tell groups of people that other people are the problem. Why have you brought in an application from here for receive a refugee? What's that got to do with anything that we're discussing in here? No, but that's the point. That's exactly the point.
Let's just go to Angela. I mean, I don't know what you've made of this argument that's been going on in the studio. I want to come back to whether this is something that is really powerful and dangerous, as many people would see it, or whether it's just, you know, a bunch of kids who'll grow up eventually and feel a bit embarrassed about how they felt.
No, I think it's important not to underestimate it, particularly because in terms of what you were just saying a moment ago about the left, I mean, really the centre has collapsed in quite a major way, as we've seen, particularly with the election of Donald Trump. What you have is really a kind of exhausted and quite bankrupt centre-left and centre-right who are kind of progressive neoliberals who really believe in nothing other than the market. And it was quite sad to hear some of the young people in that video because many of them clearly feel, you know, very fatalistic about the future. That doesn't excuse what they're saying, but you know, it tells us that we are really lacking a vision at this point.
Well, we must leave it there. Angela Nagle, Barbara and Toomey and Jack Buckby, thank you for coming in. I'm sorry if any of those views offended you, but it's Channel 4's job to explore minority views, and that's what we do.